The fluorescent lights buzzed quietly in the hospital hallway as Jasmine Taylor walked through the night shift at Memorial Hospital. At 32 years old, she had been a nurse for 8 years, but this particular Tuesday night would change her life forever. "Nurse Taylor, we need you in room 405, called out Linda, the head nurse. "New patient just transferred from Street Mary's for our rehab program." Jasmine nodded and picked up her pace, her comfortable white shoes making soft sounds against the clean floor. When she entered room 405, she saw him for the first time. Marcus Bennett, a tall man with broad shoulders sitting in a wheelchair, staring out the window at the city lights. "Good evening, Mr. Bennett. I'm Nurse Taylor, and I'll be taking care of you during the night shift," Jasmine said warmly, picking up his chart. As she read through it, her heart sank a little. Former professional basketball player, car accident 6 months ago, spinal cord injury. Marcus turned his wheelchair around, and Jasmine found herself looking into the most expressive brown eyes she had ever seen. Despite his situation, there was a spark in them that caught her attention immediately. "Please call me Marcus," he said with a gentle smile, "and thank you for being here, Nurse Taylor." "Jasmine," she corrected him automatically, then blushed slightly at her quick response. Over the next hour, as she checked his vitals and helped him get settled, they talked easily about everything from their favorite foods to their shared love of old movies. Every night that week, Jasmine found herself looking forward to her shifts more than usual. Marcus was different from other patients. He never complained, even during the hardest physical therapy sessions, and he always had a joke ready to make the staff laugh. "You know what's funny?" he said to her one night, while she was helping him with his evening medications. "Before the accident, I never had time to watch sunrises. Now I see them every day, and they're beautiful." Jasmine's colleagues noticed her spending extra time in room 405. The whispers started in the break room. "She shouldn't get too attached, and it's not professional." But Jasmine saw something in Marcus that others missed, a fighting spirit that refused to be broken. 1 month into his stay, during a particularly rough night when Marcus's pain was worse than usual, he shared his story with her. He had been driving home from a charity basketball game when a drunk driver hit his car. The accident ended his sports career and left him dependent on others, something that the once independent athlete struggled with daily. "Sometimes I wonder if anyone will ever see me as more than just the guy in the wheelchair," he admitted quietly. Jasmine put down the blood pressure cuff she was holding and looked directly into his eyes. "I see you, Marcus. I see your strength, your kindness, and your heart. The wheelchair is just something you use, it's not who you are." The moment those words left her mouth, something shifted between them. It wasn't just a nurse and patient anymore. It was two people recognizing something special in each other. As weeks turned into months, Marcus made progress in his rehabilitation. Jasmine was there through every achievement and setback, celebrating each small victory and providing encouragement during tough times. Her family, especially her mother, had concerns when they noticed Jasmine talking about Marcus more and more. "Baby, are you sure you know what you're getting into?" her mother asked one Sunday after church. "Being with someone with a disability isn't easy, and you know some people still have problems with mixed relationships." But Jasmine knew in her heart that what she felt for Marcus was real. It wasn't about his disability or his race. It was about his soul, his determination, and the way he made her laugh even on the hardest days. The day Marcus was scheduled to be discharged, he surprised Jasmine by asking her out to dinner. "I know it's not conventional," he said, nervously adjusting his wheelchair. "A former patient asking out his nurse. But I think we both know this is more than that." Jasmine felt her heart skip a beat. Looking at Marcus, she didn't see a patient or a man in a wheelchair. She saw her future. With a smile that lit up her whole face, she said yes. And that's how their story began, not in a fancy restaurant or at a glamorous party, but in room 405 of Memorial Hospital, where two hearts found each other under the quiet hum of fluorescent lights and the gentle beeping of medical equipment. Neither of them knew it then, but this was just the beginning of an extraordinary journey that would prove that love truly knows no boundaries. Dating someone in a wheelchair wasn't what Jasmine had planned for her life, but love rarely follows plans. Their first date was at a small Italian restaurant near the hospital, where Marcus had called ahead to ensure wheelchair accessibility. He insisted on picking Jasmine up in his specially modified van, showing her that his disability wouldn't stop him from being a gentleman. "You look beautiful," Marcus said when he saw her in a simple blue dress. Jasmine noticed how he had dressed up too, wearing a crisp button-down shirt and dress pants. His smile was nervous but genuine, and it made her heart flutter. The beginning wasn't easy. Marcus struggled with depression some days, especially when simple tasks became challenging. One morning, while trying to make breakfast for Jasmine, he knocked over a bowl of pancake batter, making a huge mess. "I can't even do this right," he shouted in frustration, tears in his eyes. "How can I be a good partner when I can't even make you breakfast?" Jasmine knelt beside his wheelchair and took his hands in hers. "We'll clean this up together," she said softly. "And then we'll make pancakes together. That's what partners do. We face things together." Her family's reaction to their relationship was mixed. Jasmine's mother, Gloria, was particularly worried. During Sunday dinner, she pulled Jasmine aside in the kitchen. "Baby, I need to ask you something," Gloria said, her face serious. "Are you dating Marcus because you feel sorry for him? Because that's not fair to either of you." Jasmine felt hurt by the question but understood her mother's concern. "Mama, when I'm with Marcus, I don't see his wheelchair. I see his kind heart, his strength, and how he makes me laugh. He challenges me to be better, just like I challenge him." Marcus faced his own family pressures. His parents worried that Jasmine might leave when things got too difficult. His younger sister was the only one who fully supported them from the start. "I've never seen you happier, big brother," she told him. "Not even when you were playing basketball." Their relationship grew stronger through each challenge. Marcus started swimming therapy, determined to build his upper body strength. Jasmine learned about wheelchair maintenance and how to assist without making Marcus feel helpless. They developed their own rhythm, their own way of doing things. One evening, during a wheel dance they had perfected together in Marcus's living room, he spoke about his fears. "Sometimes I worry that I'm holding you back," he admitted. "You could be with someone who could dance with you properly, take long walks on the beach." Jasmine stopped their movement and faced him. "I can dance with anyone, Marcus, but I can only fall in love with you. And this," she gestured to their position, "this is our dance. It's perfect because it's ours." The local community slowly warmed up to them. At the grocery store where they shopped, the manager installed a better ramp at the entrance. At their favorite coffee shop, the baristas learned to place Marcus's drinks where he could easily reach them. Not everyone was supportive. They sometimes got stares when out in public. Some people couldn't understand a black woman dating a white man in a wheelchair. Once, at a restaurant, a stranger made a cruel comment about their relationship. Marcus started to apologize for the attention, but Jasmine stopped him. "Let them stare," she said firmly. "They're just jealous because they'd never known love like this." After 6 months of dating, they had developed beautiful routines. Every Wednesday, they cooked dinner together, with Jasmine reaching for high shelves and Marcus directing from his expert position at the counter. On weekends, they went to the park where Marcus was teaching Jasmine to play wheelchair basketball. Their love story spread through the hospital where they met. New patients would ask Jasmine about the handsome former patient who won her heart. She would smile and tell them that love doesn't see disabilities. It sees possibilities. As their first year together approached, both Jasmine and Marcus knew they had found something special. Despite the challenges, despite the stares, despite the well-meaning but doubtful family members, they had built a relationship based on respect, understanding, and deep love. What they didn't know was that this was just the beginning of their journey, and the biggest challenges and miracles were yet to come. The proposal happened on a warm spring evening in Marcus's backyard. He had spent weeks planning it, working with his physical therapist to perfect a special move. As Jasmine walked into the yard decorated with twinkling lights, Marcus surprised her by spinning his wheelchair in a perfect circle, revealing the ring box on his lap. "Jasmine Taylor," he said, his voice full of emotion, "you've shown me that love has no limits. Will you marry me?" Tears rolled down Jasmine's cheeks as she said yes. The ring, a beautiful silver band with a small diamond, fit perfectly. Marcus had asked his sister to help him pick it out, knowing Jasmine preferred simple elegance to flashy jewelry. Planning a wheelchair-accessible wedding turned out to be more challenging than they expected. Many beautiful venues weren't properly equipped for wheelchair access. Some wedding planners seemed uncomfortable working with them, making suggestions that ignored Marcus's needs. "Maybe we should just have a small ceremony," Marcus said one night. frustrated after another disappointing venue visit. But Jasmine wouldn't give up. Our love deserves to be celebrated properly, she insisted. We'll find a way. They finally found the perfect place, a modern art gallery with wide spaces and smooth floors. The owner, touched by their story, offered to host both the ceremony and reception at a discounted price. Their families slowly came around as they saw the couple's dedication to making things work. Jasmine's mother, Gloria, surprised them by taking charge of the wedding planning. "If my baby girl is getting married," she announced, "it's going to be perfect." Gloria worked tirelessly to blend their different cultural traditions. She made sure the ceremony would include both African American and white American customs, creating something unique and beautiful. Marcus's sister helped design special ramps and platforms to make sure her brother could move freely during the ceremony. His father, who had been quiet about the relationship, finally spoke up during a family dinner. "Son," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I was wrong to doubt this. Jasmine is the best thing that ever happened to you." The wedding preparations became a talking point in their community. Local news stations wanted to cover their story. At first, Marcus and Jasmine were hesitant about the attention, but then realized their story might inspire others. "If we can show one other couple that love conquers all," Jasmine said, "then it's worth sharing." The bachelor and bachelorette parties were unique too. Instead of traditional celebrations, Marcus's friends organized a wheelchair basketball tournament, while Jasmine and her friends had a spa day followed by volunteering at the hospital where they met. As the wedding day approached, they faced unexpected challenges. The first wedding cake maker refused to deliver to their venue, claiming it was too complicated. Their original musician canceled last minute, uncomfortable with playing for an interracial wedding. But for every closed door, another opened. A famous local baker offered to make their cake for free. The jazz band that included a musician in a wheelchair volunteered to play at their reception. The morning of the wedding arrived with perfect weather. Jasmine got ready with her bridesmaids, all wearing beautiful purple dresses. Her white gown was specially designed to look perfect whether she was standing or sitting next to Marcus in his wheelchair. Marcus waited at the altar, his wheelchair decorated with white flowers. When the doors opened and Jasmine appeared with her father, Marcus felt his heart stop. She was more beautiful than he had ever seen her. The ceremony was unlike any other. Instead of walking down the aisle together, they had choreographed a special wheelchair dance for their exit. Jasmine's father had practiced for weeks to push her in a matching wheelchair alongside Marcus. During their vows, Marcus spoke about how Jasmine saw past his disability to his heart. Jasmine promised to always dance with him, whether on feet or wheels. There wasn't a dry eye in the gallery. The video of their ceremony went viral on social media, touching hearts around the world. Messages poured in from other couples facing similar challenges, thanking them for showing that true love knows no boundaries. What the wedding guests didn't know, as they celebrated this beautiful union, was that Marcus had already started a secret journey, one that would lead to the biggest surprise of their lives at their future vow renewal. The first year of marriage brought new challenges and joys for Marcus and Jasmine. They moved into a modern apartment that they had carefully modified to suit their needs. Wide doorways, lowered countertops in the kitchen, and a specially designed bathroom made it perfect for them. Their morning routine became a beautiful dance they had perfected together. Jasmine would wake up first, starting the coffee maker while Marcus used his upper body strength to transfer himself from bed to his wheelchair. They had arranged their closet so Marcus could reach his clothes easily, maintaining his independence which meant so much to him. "You know what I love most about our home?" Marcus said one morning as he helped fold laundry. "It's not just accessible for me, it's built for both of us." Their careers took exciting turns too. Jasmine continued her nursing work, but also started teaching classes at the hospital about caring for patients with disabilities. Her first-hand experience living with Marcus made her insights invaluable. Marcus found his new calling through an unexpected channel. During his late-night browsing, unable to sleep due to pain, he discovered many online forums where disabled athletes felt lost and hopeless. "I think I know what I want to do," he told Jasmine over breakfast one day. "I want to start an online support group for disabled athletes. Help them see that life isn't over after an injury." Jasmine fully supported his idea, helping him set up a website and social media accounts. Within months, Marcus's group grew from just a few members to hundreds. He spent hours every day responding to messages, sharing his story, and offering hope to others. Their families became closer too. Sunday dinners alternated between their mothers' houses, with both families learning to blend their traditions. Jasmine's younger cousins loved riding on the back of Marcus's wheelchair, and his nieces and nephews called Jasmine Auntie J even before the wedding. But marriage had its hard days too. Sometimes Marcus's old injuries would flare up, leaving him in terrible pain. During these times, he would try to push Jasmine away, not wanting her to see him suffering. One particularly bad night, Marcus shouted in frustration, "You shouldn't have to deal with this. You deserve better." Jasmine sat beside his wheelchair and took his hand. "Better than what? Better than a man who makes me laugh every day? Better than someone who supports all my dreams? Better than the love of my life?" Her words broke through his pain, reminding him that their love was stronger than any challenge they faced. They found creative ways to do everything couples do. Instead of regular dancing, they invented wheelchair ballroom moves that worked for them. Rather than hiking, they discovered accessible nature trails where they could go birdwatching together. Their date nights might have looked different from other couples, but they were filled with just as much romance and joy. Marcus had regular medical appointments, which he insisted on attending alone. "You already do so much," he would tell Jasmine. "Let me handle this part." What Jasmine didn't know was that these appointments were more than routine checkups. They were the beginning of something that would change their lives. Their home became a gathering place for friends and family. They hosted regular game nights where everyone sat at their accessible height table, sharing stories and laughter. Their love inspired others. Several of their friends even modified their own homes to be more accessible for when Marcus and Jasmine visited. One evening, as they watched the sunset from their balcony, Marcus seemed lost in thought. "What's on your mind?" Jasmine asked, sitting in a chair next to his wheelchair. "I was just thinking about how people said we couldn't make this work," he replied, taking her hand. "But look at us now. We're not just making it work, we're thriving." What Jasmine didn't know was that Marcus had started a journey that would prove those doubters wrong in an even bigger way. His regular medical appointments were part of a groundbreaking new treatment program, but he kept this secret close to his heart, waiting for the right moment to share it with his wife. As their first wedding anniversary approached, Marcus began planning something special, a vow renewal ceremony that would become the setting for the biggest surprise of their lives. What Jasmine thought were routine medical checkups were actually Marcus's visits to a special medical research program. It started 3 months after their wedding when his doctor, Dr. Thompson, called him privately about a new experimental treatment for spinal cord injuries. "Mr. Bennett, your injury pattern makes you a perfect candidate," Dr. Thompson explained during their first secret meeting. "But I have to warn you, this treatment is experimental. There's no guarantee it will work." Marcus sat in his wheelchair, heart racing as he looked at the research papers. The treatment combined stem cell therapy with intensive physical rehabilitation. Success would mean possibly walking again, but failure could crush not only his hopes but Jasmine's too. "Why not tell your wife?" Dr. Thompson asked, noticing Marcus's hesitation to sign the papers. "I can't give her false hope," Marcus replied, his hand shaking as he signed. "If it doesn't work, I don't want her to go through that disappointment." The treatment schedule was intense. 3 times a week, Marcus would tell Jasmine he was going to his support group meetings or routine therapy. Instead, he was undergoing painful procedures and exhausting physical therapy sessions. His best friend Tommy helped cover for him, driving him to appointments when Jasmine was working. "Man, you should tell her," Tommy would say during their drives. "She's your wife." But Marcus stayed firm. "I want to surprise her at our vow renewal. If this works, it will be worth all the secrecy." The treatment was harder than anything Marcus had ever experienced. The stem cell injections left him in pain, sometimes so bad he had to bite his pillow at night to keep from crying out. When Jasmine noticed his discomfort, he blamed it on regular muscle spasms. Some days, he saw small improvements. His toes would twitch slightly. He could feel more sensation in his legs. But he kept these victories secret, writing them in a private journal he hid in his wheelchair's side pocket. Dr. Thompson was amazed by his progress. "You're responding better than any other patient," she said during one session. "But remember, even with these positive signs, there's no guarantee you'll walk again." Marcus worked harder than ever in physical therapy. While other patients went home after their sessions, he stayed extra hours, practicing movements until he was drenched in sweat. The physical therapist, Mike, became both his trainer and confidant. "Your determination is incredible," Mike said one day, helping Marcus with leg exercises. "But this secret is eating you up inside." There were close calls. Once, Jasmine came home early and almost caught him practicing standing between parallel bars with Mike in their home gym. Marcus quickly sat back in his wheelchair, pretending they were doing regular exercises. Another time, she found a medical bill in the mail, but Marcus quickly explained it away as routine physical therapy. The guilt of lying to her was the hardest part, but he held on to his dream of surprising her. 6 months into the treatment, Marcus had his first breakthrough. During a therapy session, he managed to stand for 5 seconds without support. He cried with joy, but couldn't share this moment with the person he loved most. His sister Rachel, the only family member who knew his secret, visited often to support him. "The look on Jasmine's face will be worth it," she assured him during his moments of doubt. The program was expensive, but Marcus had saved money from his basketball career. He used these savings to pay for the treatment, telling Jasmine he was investing in his online support group platform. Some nights, lying next to his sleeping wife, Marcus would silently practice moving his legs under the covers. Every tiny movement filled him with hope. He wrote love letters to Jasmine, describing how he felt and why he kept this secret, planning to give them to her after the surprise. As the date of their vow renewal ceremony grew closer, Marcus's progress accelerated. Dr. Thompson called it remarkable. "But remember," she warned, "the first steps are just the beginning. You'll need ongoing therapy." Marcus didn't care about the challenges ahead. He only thought about one moment: the look on Jasmine's face when he would stand up from his wheelchair and walk toward her at their vow renewal ceremony. That dream kept him going through every painful treatment and every guilty moment of keeping this secret from the woman he loved. As their first wedding anniversary approached, Marcus surprised Jasmine one evening with an unusual request. They were having dinner in their favorite corner of their accessible kitchen when he brought it up. "Honey, what do you think about renewing our vows?" he asked, trying to keep his voice casual despite his racing heart. Jasmine looked up from her pasta, surprised. "After just 1 year? Don't people usually wait longer for that?" Marcus had prepared for this question. "I know it soon, but this year has been the most amazing of my life. I want to celebrate our love in a special way." What he couldn't tell her was that he had timed everything with his doctors to ensure he would be strong enough to walk by then. The idea quickly grew on Jasmine. She started planning with the same enthusiasm she had shown for their wedding. Marcus watched her with mixed feelings: joy at her excitement and guilt about his secret. Every time she showed him color schemes or flower arrangements, he thought about how all of it would become part of an even bigger moment. "Let's have it in the garden at sunset," Marcus suggested, knowing he would need perfect lighting for the videos he planned to have taken. He had already secretly hired a professional videographer to capture what he hoped would be a viral-worthy moment. Their families had different reactions to the news. Jasmine's mother, Gloria, was confused at first. "Baby, you just had a beautiful wedding. Why do you need another one so soon?" But Marcus's sister Rachel, who knew the truth, became their biggest supporter. "It's so romantic," she would say, winking at her brother when no one was looking. She helped with many of the arrangements, making sure everything would accommodate Marcus's surprise. The planning wasn't easy. Marcus had to coordinate his final medical appointments and physical therapy sessions around cake tastings and venue visits. Some days, he was so exhausted from his secret therapy that he could barely focus on the renewal plans. One afternoon, while they were choosing music, Jasmine noticed something different. "You seem distracted lately," she said, concern in her voice. "Is everything okay?" Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. "Just excited about making this perfect for you," he said, reaching for her hand. He hated not telling her the whole truth, but he kept reminding himself it would be worth it. They decided to keep the ceremony small, just 30 of their closest friends and family. Marcus insisted on having it at a specific garden venue that had a long, straight path he had been practicing walking on during secret visits. "The path to the altar needs to be exactly 40 feet, he told the confused event planner, knowing this was the distance he had mastered in therapy. Jasmine found some of his requests odd, like his insistence on a particular type of sturdy chair at the altar instead of his wheelchair, but she attributed it to him wanting everything to be perfect. The preparation became more intense as the date grew closer. Marcus scheduled his final medical evaluations for the week before the ceremony. Dr. Thompson and his physical therapy team would be hidden among the guests, ready to assist if needed. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Dr. Thompson asked during his final checkup. Walking that distance, in front of everyone. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life," Marcus replied, thinking of Jasmine's face. The week before the ceremony, Marcus was a bundle of nerves. He had to resist the urge to practice standing every time Jasmine left the room. His legs, now stronger but still unsteady, seemed to tingle with anticipation. Their friends helped with the preparations, unaware of the magnitude of what was to come. Only Tommy and Rachel knew to place chairs strategically along the garden path, disguised as decoration but really there in case Marcus needed emergency support. The night before the ceremony, as they lay in bed, Jasmine snuggled close to Marcus. "Tomorrow will be perfect," she whispered sleepily. Marcus held her tight, his heart full of love and anticipation. "Yes," he whispered back, "more perfect than you can imagine." He stayed awake long after she fell asleep, visualizing each step he would take toward her, praying his legs would be strong enough for this moment he had worked so hard to create. The day of the vow renewal ceremony arrived with perfect weather. The garden was beautifully decorated with white and purple flowers, and golden sunlight filtered through the trees. Guests began arriving early, including Dr. Thompson and the physical therapy team, who quietly took their positions among the crowd. In the bridal suite, Jasmine was getting ready with her mother and bridesmaids. She wore a simpler dress than her wedding gown, but she still looked stunning. "I don't know why I'm so nervous," she said, adjusting her dress. "We're already married." Meanwhile, in a private room, Marcus was preparing for the biggest moment of his life. Tommy and Rachel helped him stretch and warm up his legs, hidden from the other guests. "Are you ready for this?" Tommy asked, watching Marcus practice standing one last time. "I've never been more ready," Marcus replied, though his hands were shaking. Dr. Thompson gave him a final check and handed him a small dose of anti-anxiety medicine. The ceremony was scheduled to start at sunset. Guests took their seats along the garden path, unknowingly positioned to witness a miracle. Marcus's wheelchair was placed at the beginning of the aisle, and a special chair waited at the altar. Jasmine walked down the aisle first, escorted by her father. She smiled at Marcus, sitting in his wheelchair at the other end. Her heart was full of love, not knowing that in minutes, her world would change forever. When Jasmine reached the altar, the officiator began speaking about love and commitment. Then came the moment Marcus had planned for months. "Before we renew our vows," Marcus said into the microphone, his voice slightly shaky, "I have something to show you, Jasmine." Confusion crossed Jasmine's face as Marcus gripped the arms of his wheelchair. The garden fell completely silent. Dr. Thompson and Mike, the physical therapist, moved slightly closer, ready to help if needed. Slowly, Marcus began to push himself up. At first, Jasmine thought he was just adjusting in his chair. Then, as he continued rising, her hands flew to her mouth in shock. "Oh my God," she whispered, tears already starting to fall. Marcus stood completely upright for the first time in 7 years. The guests gasped collectively. Jasmine's mother grabbed her husband's arm in disbelief. "This past year," Marcus said, his voice growing stronger, "while you thought I was at regular therapy, I was participating in an experimental treatment program." He paused, steadying himself. "I wanted to give you this moment." Then, Marcus took his first step toward her. The garden erupted in shocked whispers and crying. Jasmine stood frozen, tears streaming down her face, as her husband took another step and another. His steps were slow but sure, each one bringing him closer to his wife. The videographer captured everything, the determination on Marcus's face, the pure joy and shock on Jasmine's, the tearful reactions of their families and friends. Halfway down the aisle, Marcus paused briefly. "Keep going, brother," Tommy whispered loudly enough for Marcus to hear. The encouragement seemed to give him renewed strength. When Marcus finally reached Jasmine, he took her trembling hands in his. By now, everyone was crying. The guests, the wedding party, even Dr. Thompson and the medical team who had helped make this possible. "Surprise," Marcus said softly, wiping tears from Jasmine's cheeks. "How? When? I don't understand," Jasmine managed to say between sobs. "I didn't want to give you false hope," Marcus explained, still standing strong. "I wanted to be sure I could do this for you." Their families gathered around them, everyone talking at once, crying and laughing. Marcus's parents hugged Jasmine's parents, all previous doubts about their children's relationship completely forgotten in this miraculous moment. The official ceremony resumed only after everyone had calmed down somewhat. Marcus and Jasmine renewed their vows standing together, something that had seemed impossible just minutes before to most of the witnesses. As the sun set over the garden, painting the sky in beautiful colors, Marcus and Jasmine shared their first dance, not in a wheelchair, but standing together, swaying gently to their favorite song. The video of the moment went viral within hours of being posted, inspiring millions around the world. But for Marcus and Jasmine, the only thing that mattered was holding each other, standing together, ready to begin the next chapter of their extraordinary love story. The months following the vow renewal ceremony brought major changes to Marcus and Jasmine's life. Their video had gone viral, reaching millions of views across social media platforms. People from around the world sent messages, calling their story a modern miracle and an inspiration. "I can't believe how many people have reached out to us," Jasmine said one morning, reading through their emails. Messages came from other couples facing similar challenges, from disabled athletes, and from people who simply felt moved by their love story. Marcus's recovery journey wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. Now that his secret was out, Jasmine joined him for every physical therapy session. She became his biggest cheerleader, celebrating each small victory in his continuing rehabilitation. "You don't have to push yourself so hard now," she told him one day after a particularly tough session. Marcus smiled, taking her hand. "I'm not doing this just for the surprise anymore. I'm doing it for our future together." Their story caught the attention of medical researchers and disability advocacy groups. Dr. Thompson's experimental treatment program received increased funding, offering hope to others with spinal cord injuries. Marcus became a spokesperson for the research center, sharing his journey to help others understand the possibilities. Jasmine used their newfound platform to educate people about supporting loved ones with disabilities. She started a blog about their experiences, writing honestly about both the challenges and triumphs of their relationship. "The wheelchair didn't define our love," she wrote in one popular post, "and now walking doesn't define it either. What defines us is how we face everything together." They established the Bennett Taylor Foundation, dedicated to helping other couples dealing with disabilities. The foundation provided grants for medical research, supported accessibility improvements in public spaces, and offered counseling services to couples facing similar challenges. Their families became even closer after witnessing the miracle. Jasmine's mother, Gloria, who had once worried about their relationship, became their biggest supporter. She volunteered at foundation events and spoke openly about how wrong her initial doubts had been. "Love sees with the heart," she would say at their foundation meetings. "My children taught me that." Marcus continued to improve physically, though some days were harder than others. There were times when he still needed his wheelchair, especially on long days or when his legs were tired. But now he faced these moments without shame or frustration. "The wheelchair isn't my enemy anymore," he explained to a group of young athletes at a foundation event. "It's just another tool to help me live my best life." Their home became a gathering place for support groups and community meetings. They hosted regular dinners where people could share their stories and find encouragement. Marcus and Jasmine made sure everyone felt welcome, whether they walked, used wheelchairs, or moved in their own unique way. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Jasmine noticed Marcus looking thoughtful. "What's on your mind?" she asked, squeezing his hand. "I was just thinking about how far we've come," he replied. "Remember when people said we couldn't make it work? And now look at us." Jasmine smiled. "We're helping others make it work too." Their story continued to inspire people worldwide. They received invitations to speak at conferences and events, sharing their message of hope and perseverance. But they never let the attention change who they were at heart. Just two people who loved each other unconditionally. As their second anniversary approached, they found out they were expecting their first child. This new blessing added another chapter to their remarkable journey. "Our baby will grow up knowing that anything is possible with love and determination," Jasmine said, happy tears in her eyes as they shared the news with their families. Marcus and Jasmine's story became more than just a viral moment or a medical miracle. It became a testament to the power of love, faith, and perseverance. They showed the world that true love knows no boundaries, not race, not disability, not any obstacle life might present. Their journey taught others that sometimes the biggest miracles come disguised as challenges, and that the strongest love stories are written by those who dare to believe in the impossible. We're just getting started, Marcus would say, standing proudly beside his wife. And he was right. Their story of love, hope, and miracle was just beginning.